أشهد أن عليا ولي الله.
One of the most distinguishing features about the religion of Islam is the 5 daily prayers, especially the style in which we pray those prayers. But for a revert who's come from a non-Muslim background, it can be very strange for them to start learning how to pray and setting up the regular prayers at different times of the day. So what can a revert do to establish the prayers and to maintain their sanctity?
When you look at the concept of prayers, salat, it is not only unique to Islam or Muslims, but the formats are different. So allow me to give you a few examples. If you study the lives of the prophets of Allah in Quran, you'll find that prophets of Allah had strong relationship with salat. One of them is Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, in verse of Quran, where he says, Rabbi ja'alni muqima salati wa min dhurriyyati rabbana wa taqabbal du'a. Allah make me amongst those who established their salat, and not me alone, even my family. So salat, Ibrahim also had relationship with salah. You look at Musa alayhi salam. One ayah of Quran said, وَجَعَلُوا بُيُوتَكُمْ قِبْلًا وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ. That's talking Musa talking to his people. Make your homes a place where you use to face your Lord, and then establish salah. One example is Isa alayhi salam, Jesus Christ. When people came to Mary, thinking that Mary was a powerful lady, but Mary, to them, she has committed something which is uncalled for. Mary pointed to the young Isa, and they said, why are you pointing to him? You teasing us, you laughing at us. But the young Isa responded, Inni Abdullah, Atani al-Kitaba, waja'alani nabiyyan, waja'alani mubarakan, aynama kunt. He said, wa awsani bis salat. Jesus said, no, my Lord has given me glad tidings and good news about salah. Likewise, you come to our beloved prophet. Oh, so many verses.
The one who wishes to perform the salah must meet some of the conditions and criteria before he begins or she begins the daily prayers. For example, the one's clothes must be pure and not impure. And same thing applies to the body. Make sure that the body is pure and clean from the impurities such as blood, urine, and such like. Also, the wudu, the ablution, must be performed in the right way. Make sure that you do the wudu correctly and with sequence. You start the face first, you wash the face, then the right arm, and then the left arm, and then you wipe your head and both feet afterwards. Of course, you must find the Qibla and pray towards the Qibla, the direction of the Qibla. That's important as well. And of course, you must pray on time. In other words, you cannot pray before the Adhan. The Adhan of the Fajr or the Dhuhr or the Maghrib must be known. So you could pray when the Adhan is called. You cannot pray before the Adhan. And of course, the intention of the prayer must be met as well, that you pray with the intention of getting close to Allah the Almighty.
There's a massive misconception that says that the Shia only pray 3 times a day. That is just a lie. We don't pray 3 times a day. Even when we do combine the prayers, so when we combine Zuhr and Asr and then Maghrib and Isha, we're not praying 3 times a day. We're still praying 5 times a day. It's just we're combining the prayers. So for example, we'll pray Salat al-Zuhr, pause, and then we'll pray Salat al-Asr straight afterwards. And this is something that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did it himself. And it's not just narrated in Shia books, but it's actually narrated in Sunni books as well, that he would do that sometimes. But alhamdulillah, for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He does give us that option. Because if you think of it, many people, they work full time and they only have 1 hour for lunch. And in that hour, they have to eat, they have to pray, just relax for a little bit. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His mercy, He allows the people to combine the prayers, which makes it a lot easier for us. And that's the thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't want to burden the believers with more than they can bear.
Although the daily prayers are 5, and Muslims used to pray in the beginning of the Prophet's message and da'wah 5 times a day, but later on, the Holy Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he joined the salah in 3 sessions. And it's stated in the non-Shia books that he joined the salah, i.e. the Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha together without fear of danger or without fear of rain and so forth. So the Prophet joined them afterwards. So what we see from the Muslims today, that many of them pray 5 times a day, it's conflicting with what the Prophet ﷺ did afterwards, and to the way of his progeny, Ahlul Bayt alayhum salam, that they used to join the prayers in 3 sessions. It's 5 times a day, but in 3 sessions. Where is the evidence? In the Holy Quran. Allah states, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا. Perform the prayer at the decline of the sun. That is Salat al-Dhuhr, of course. That's the first timing. And the next timing, until the darkness of the night. That is the second timing, which is the Maghrib. And the Quran at dawn. The Quran at dawn is witnessed. The Quran at dawn has been interpreted as Salat al-Subh, Salat al-Fajr. So 3 times the Holy Quran is giving us as time for the Salah. 3 main times. That is stated in the chapter 17, verse 78.
Particularly, I cannot stress enough the importance of Salat al-Layl. There's something so moving about that prayer. It is mentioned within the Holy Quran as one of the best mustahab acts that you can do. There's something so moving about waking up in the dead of night. Everyone else is asleep. Everything's quiet. You can't hear anything outside. Even the birds are not awake. You get up, you go and make wudu, and you're praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're remembering Allah when everyone else is asleep and they're not conscious. There's something so powerful and profound about that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, a person who claims to love me lies if they spend the whole night asleep and they do not remember me. So my honest advice, my brothers and sisters, is make sure you learn how to pray Salat al-Layl. It's not too difficult, alhamdulillah. But even if, you just pray the last rak'ah, even if you just pray Salat al-Witr, get up 15 minutes before Fajr, pray that Salat al-Witr. You'll see so many differences in your life. You'll see blessings in your life. Because the dua that you make at the time of Salat al-Layl is like an arrow that hits bullseye. It's one of the most powerful times to make duas. And we all have hajats. So let us make an aim for ourselves that at least once a week we should try and implement Salat al-Layl into our lives, inshaAllah.
Beside the mandatory prayers and salah, there are also desirable and mustahab salah that the one can pray. This, one of the terms as the nafilah, Salatul Nafilah, is very well known, that each obligatory prayer has a nafilah. So in the Fajr prayer you have nafilah al-Subh, which is 2 rak'ah. And you have the Dhuhr and Asr, each has its own rak'at, 8 rak'ah for example. And also the Maghrib and Isha also have its own nafil and mustahab prayers, which you can perform. But these are all mustahab and desirable. There's no wajib on these salah. And also you have Salatul Layl, the nightly prayer, which is mustahab and greatly emphasized to pray every night, Salatul Layl. And that's only 11 rak'ah. We also have mustahab salah in the nights of the Qadr in the month of Ramadan that reaches 100 rak'ah. So, and of course, each night of Ramadan there is a specific number of rak'at to pray on every night of the holy month of Ramadan. And when it reaches the peak, of course, which is Layl Qadr, then the numbers of the rak'at will increase. So we try to add as a bonus, as a plus to our mandatory prayers, to also try to pray these desirable and mustahab prayers, so we can elevate more and more towards the high positions in perfection.
No doubt we have amples of recommended prayers. But one of the most recommended through the traditions of Ahl al-Bayt, even teachings of our scholars, is Salatul Layl. Salatul Layl. You know, each prayer, as you know, has its own recommended prayers. But Salatul Layl, to wake up at night, closest to Fajr, 10 minutes before Fajr if you like, 15 minutes before Fajr if you like, is highly recommended. I mean, Amir al-Mu'minin is reported to have said, prepare for your next day by waking up at night to pray. Imam is trying to say these night prayers gives you power of going during the day. You see, you go out today, you meet different people, your well-wishers, and those you think they don't like you. You meet so many things. And we don't have any mechanisms to strengthen ourselves than this ibadah. If at all you can't wake up for Salatul Layl, Shaf'i and Witr, the last 2 and 1, these are very important. In fact, we are told in the teachings of our scholars, if I wake up and I know I cannot do 2 and 1 because of time, the time will only allow me to do only the last one, Witr, I do the Witr. And Salatul Layl, you know, brothers and sisters, you know, yes, it's 8 plus 2 plus 1. If you can't do all, don't stress yourself. Don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure. Just wake up and do what you can. Don't just sleep and sleep. You know, they said in one tradition, don't do the sleeping of animals. Wake up 3 minutes before Fajr Salah, and you will see the power that Allah will put in you. And so therefore I strongly and humbly advise our beloved brothers and sisters, Salatul Layl, and some call Namaz Sharp, is of utmost importance. We have to try to do something about it. And what reminds us of that are the martyrs of Karbala. In that darkness of the night in Karbala, when the enemies were making headways and they were preparing, the companions of Abu Abdullah were busy with Salatul Layl. To such an extent, Abu Abdullah would approach his beloved sister Zainab alayhi salam. Said, oh my beloved sister Zainab, remember me in your Salatul Layl. What a power! What a power! This is how you face the world. This is how you face challenges. This is how you face troubles. They were few in number, but they stood up. So you know what? No power except the power of Allah. And that is what we need to inculcate. That's what we need to encourage one another to be doing. And by so doing, you will see the benefits. It will help you overcome so many challenges in your life. I promise you. And if you have to sit in front of any of our great scholars and ask them of the secret of life, they will tell you the secret of life is in Salatul Layl. And so therefore, this is my advice, firstly to myself, and to all of you respected brothers and sisters.
We shorten the prayers when we're traveling because this is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, He understands us better than we understand ourselves. He knows that ultimately we're very weak, we're very fragile. We say it in Dua Qamail, Allah have mercy upon the thinness of my skin and the frailty of my bones. Traveling, even though it's a great experience, it's also very tiring and it can be very stressful on us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He realizes that. So out of His mercy, He's allowed us to pray qasr. It makes it so much easier for us. So we're doing our traveling, but also we're having that spiritual element to it as well. So that beyond the stresses, beyond the worries, you have that prayer where you just focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those moments.
For those who travel from their hometown towards other places, they should know that there's something called the traveler's prayers, Salatul Musafir. If you travel both ways 44 kilometers or more, then you have to break your salah. In other words, to shorten your salah with regard to the salah in which prayed with 4 rak'ah, i.e. Salatul Dhuhr, Asr and Isha. You shorten them to 2 rak'ah only. If you travel over 44 kilometers both ways as a return journey, and then you can pray, or even you can break your fast if you're in trouble. But if it's less than that amount, let's say you want to travel only 15 kilometers both ways, then you're not allowed to break your, or to shorten your salah in this case. And for those who travel by the means of coach or ferry or aeroplane or bus and train, they can pray inside those vehicles if they meet the condition of stability, the qibla and so forth. And if they cannot perform this salah in the destination because the salah would be qada and missed, in this case they can pray in these vehicles, as I've said, by meeting all the criteria of the salah, of the qibla, stability, and praying upright, standing, in other words, to make sure that we meet these obligatory acts even if we travel, and to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of the day.
أشهد أن عليا ولي